Today in the Daily Dose, the Honda Point disaster. A week before catastrophe struck the U.S. Navy, the worst peacetime disaster in American naval history, on September 1, 1923, Japan was struck by a magnitude 7.9 earthquake, which flattened much of Tokyo and Yokohama, while taking the lives of an estimated 100,000 people. A week later, unusually large waves and powerful currents had crossed 5,000 miles of open Pacific Ocean to batter the California coastline, including Honda Point, just north of the entrance to the Santa Barbara Channel. Despite the challenging conditions, 14 Clemson-class destroyers of Destroyer Squadron 11 undertook a high-speed training run from San Francisco to San Diego, maintaining 20 knots in tight formation that led to a perfect storm of human error. Known to be a hazardous obstacle as far back as the 16th century, when Spanish explorers named Honda Point Devil's Jaw due to its plentiful ship-eating rock formations, on the evening of September 8, 1923, Captain Edward H. Watson ignored recent developments in radio navigation techniques, relying instead on dead reckoning as his tight formation of ships battled turbulent seas and blinding fog. Aboard his lead ship, the USS Delphi, Watson's navigator also ignored his radio navigation aids that indicated Desron 11 was off course by several miles to the northeast, instead believing in the accuracy of his own dead reckoning calculations. As a result, 5 minutes after turning east for what they thought was the entrance to the Santa Barbara Channel, the formation met with disaster in a chaotic blink of an eye. When the USS SP Lee saw the Delphi come to a sudden stop a few hundred yards in front of her bow, the Lee turned hard to port in an effort to skirt disaster, instead ramming the bluffs of Honda Point at a high rate of speed. In a time span of several minutes, the USS Woodbury, Nicholas, Young, Chauncey, and Fuller all struck rocks and ran aground, before panic sirens aboard the doomed ships allowed the remaining 7 destroyers to drop speed and change course, despite substantial damage to the USS Farragut and Summers. 3 crewmen aboard the Delphi and 20 aboard the Young would perish in the accident, leading to court-martial charges of negligence for 11 naval officers, who were eventually acquitted and demoted in rank. The grounded ships were eventually sold for scrap for a little more than $1,000 in total, making the Honda Point disaster a tragic wake-up call for the U.S. Navy. And there you have it, the Honda Point disaster, today in the Daily Dose. If you enjoyed this short educational video, consider giving the filmmakers a YouTube super thanks from as little as $1, so that you too can feed the filmmakers who feed your brain.